Hey y'all, what's going on? It's your boy Mike. So today I wanted to talk to you guys about flexibility mobility drills. Do we need to do them? Why do we need to do them? How often should you do them? That's a very important question to ask, and I would say yes and no. The reason why I say both is because it depends on what your overall goals are. If you're a hypermobile person, if you have like a lot of laxity in your joints, if you have a lot of laxity in your joints, then I wouldn't work on stretching per se. I would work on strengthening and stability in those exaggerated motions. So again, let's say if you're able to do a full split but you don't have any stability behind it, I would work on just holding that posture and build the strength within that realm so you don't lose strength or you don't get yourself into a dangerous predicament, if you will. If you're the average person, you don't have to be a gymnast. You don't have to be like Cirque du Soleil or anything like that. However, stretching is important. Mobility drills are important, particularly because of the society that we live in. We are a very stagnant, very a non-mobile society, and we have a lot more pains because we're not using our bodies the way that we're using them. We're supposed to use them. Our bodies are meant to move. However, because of overall society, for the progress that we made for better or for worse, we just don't move as much. The jobs that we have, a lot of the jobs that we have are very sedentary, so we don't move. And people get stressed out, people get tired. So typically after work, people just go home, they sit down. So you go from sitting at work to sitting at home. A lot of people don't get in any mobility. A lot of people don't play. A lot of people don't move their bodies. So it is very important to just work on your overall mobility, your flexibility. And again, not saying you need to, be able to do a full split or put your legs over your head, but you want to be able to have the mobility that if you need to bend down, you can bend down and pick up something off the floor. That each time if you're going to sit down, that you don't have to plop on the couch or on the chair. Because one of the things that we say in the hospital is that everything in the hospital is on wheels. Everything. So let's say if you plop down without control, whatever is behind you, if you don't know that chair or whatever is locked, that thing can slide right behind you and you can end up on the floor. And that's not good. And I've heard of people seeing people plopping at restaurants and the chairs breaking. That's not a good look. So you want to be able to have the mobility and the strength to be able to move in your overall everyday life. Again, not saying you need to be a gymnast. I'm not saying you need to be, a contortionist, but you need to be able to do basic things. You need to be able to, touch your foot. You need to be able to cross your legs if you need to. You need to be able to open up your chest. You need to be able to work on your overall posture. Because again, we're also in a hunched over posture. I mentioned this in an earlier video, that we're in this hunched over, like closed in posture, which can cause a lot of issues, a lot of back pain, a lot of neck pain, just some chest tightness, some shoulder tightness, that you just feel your body will start to feel constrained too much. Your body is a very smart machine, and it will talk to you and tell you different things if you listen to it and if you pay attention to it. So listen to your body, understand what it's saying. And again, basic stretches are super important. Just know, hey, I'm going to stretch my chest out a little bit. I'm going to, sit on the floor, sit on a flat surface with my legs straight out and my back straight. How often do you do that? How often can you do that? How often do you just sit, in a stretched position? We don't. We don't do that. Everything that we do is we're sitting on a couch, we're sitting in the car, we're sitting at our desk. We just sit. We do not move. When was the last time that you got into a squat, legs parallel to the ground? No. When can you honestly answer me that? When was the last time you were able to sit down and not make all these creaking sounds? Things like that affect your everyday living. That's what our goal is, that we should be able to exercise for life. There's no age that you need to, if someone says that you're too old to exercise, they're lying. If someone says you're too young to exercise, they're lying. No one is too old or too young to exercise. No one is too young or too old to start exercising. However, you're too old or too young to stop exercising, because you need to be able to move for life. Because the only time that you need to stop moving is whenever there's no life left in you. Because our goal is looking at the health and wellness aspect of it. My goal as a health and wellness coach is to be able to educate you to do things that you can do what you want to do for as long as you want to do it. If you're like, hey, I want to go into my garden, but I can't pick up the soil bag, or it's too low and I can't bend down to till my garden, why not? We need to move. For things like that, hey, I want to work in my garden. You gotta be able to move. If you want to cook, you gotta be able to move. Some people have pots and pans on the very bottom drawers. Some people have them on very top shelves and things like that. You gotta be able to move. You gotta be able to pick up your groceries. Grocery shopping, like picking up something from the bottom shelf and putting it in your cart. Things like that. For people who have little kids, who want to play with their kids, or want to play with their dogs or cats, or whatever that person, that entity is. Cleaning up around your house, cleaning around your living environment. You have to be able to move. Again, not saying you need to be the world's most flexible person, but if you can't do your everyday things because you're too stiff, that's an issue. If you're not able to do your everyday things because my knees hurt, my back hurts, and you can't even squat down, that's an issue. If you're not able to get to one knee, that's an issue, because things fall on the floor all the time. If something falls on the floor, you're just gonna leave it? No, you need to go and be able to get it. However, we also need to be able to get it without all the creaks and the pains and the deep sighs and the deep breathing and things like that. So we want to teach you how to be able to move for life and for purpose. So there are very basic stretches you can do. You can, if you remember those stretches that you used to do like in elementary school, go ahead and try, get back to that. Just working on your overall posture. There are doorway stretches that you can do to open up your chest. There's, let's say if you're gonna, stand up nice and stand up straight, and then reach down and try to touch your toes. Bend your knees a little bit to grab, so you can grab your ankles, and then work on straightening your legs a little bit. Bend and straighten, and that stretches your hamstrings, your glutes, a little bit of your lower back, but mainly your hamstrings, your glutes, some of your calves, just because you're stretching, you're bending your knees, which actually takes some of the slack off of the stretch, and then you straighten your legs out, which actually works the stretch. So things like that are so important. Again, there's so many other stretches you can do to work, that you can do. There's something called the world's greatest stretch. That's a great exercise. If you want to do like a runner's type stretch, that's a great exercise. If you want to work on, your straddle or your split, if you are a little more advanced, great exercises. Just stretching out your upper back is so important. One of the things that's highly underrated is laying on the floor on your stomach. Just work on stretching. Just work on, feel like you're pushing your feet, pushing your arms. You actually feel your body kind of like stretch out a little bit. It's a great stretch. Try it out. Stretching doesn't have to be super fancy. Doesn't have to be anything super advanced. It can just be sitting in one position that you normally don't do. So let's say if you were trying to work on stretching your hip flexors, because your hips are always bent because you're sitting, driving, you're sitting on a couch, you're sitting at work. So hey, I'm just gonna work on laying on the floor. It's a very gentle stretch you can do for your hip flexors. After that, you can, if you want to put a pillow under your chest, so you have a little bit of an arch in your back, that actually stretches out your hips a little bit more. Then you can remove the pillow or add an extra pillow to give a little more height Or you can move your arms. You know, you can kind of prop yourself up on your arms, almost like a puppy. How they kind of like, prop up their arms and kind of like stick your chest out, things like that. You can go into like your cobra poses and from yoga and things like that. There's so many things that you can do and so many things that you need to be able to do. However, for some reason, whenever we become adults, we have this notion that we don't have to move anymore, which is a fallacy of logic, because you need to be able to move to be able to live. There are so many times that you're think of your joints and think of your tendons and your ligaments like a rubber band. If you take a rubber band fresh out of the pack, you try to stretch it to its maximum, it's not going to stretch. But if you kind of play around with it, kind of loosen it up, over time, it gets really malleable. You can kind of, do all these different things. However, let's say that same rubber band that you're working on stretching, let's say if you left it on the dashboard in your car, and it's spring or summer, sun's hitting it, like sun's just cooking it, what happens? That rubber band gets stiff, it gets brittle. If you try to stretch it, it's going to pop. Same thing with your joints. If you don't use them, if you don't stretch them out, no, I'm not saying every day. If you can do it every day, that's amazing. But if you don't use those things, if you don't give them the nutrition that they need, if you don't give the water that you need, if you don't move those things, they will get brittle and they will get stiff. And that is not a good look. So work on some basic mobility, work on some basic flexibility. If there's any questions about them, I can definitely make a video about some basic stretching mobility joint exercises. Leave your comments in the chat. Again, I love to chop it up with you guys. But again, just wanted to stop in and talk about the importance of working your overall flexibility, your mobility. Again, if you are hypermobile, you'll want to work strengthening in those exaggerated ranges so you don't hurt yourself. You want to work strengthening the whole range of motion that you have, so you're not putting yourself in a predicament that you can't get out of. If you are hypomobile, like you don't have a lot of stretching at all, work as gentle of a stretch as you can. Again, a very gentle stretch is laying down on the floor. Laying on the floor and just focus on try to push your arms out, push your feet out. That's a great exercise for those people who are hypomobile. Again, just work on basic stretching, and then you kind of like go into slowly but surely go into those more exaggerated motions so you can get those that stretching in. Again, just want to chop it up with you guys. If there's any other questions, comments, concerns that you guys have, drop them in the chat. I appreciate you guys, slowly climbing up there. I think I'm at 25 subscribers. So all 25 of my subscribers, thank you. I appreciate you guys for listening to me ramble. If there's any other video ideas, whether it's about exercise, whether it's about day in the life of a health and wellness coach, or day in the life of a physical therapy assistant, any exercise tips for beginners, the doctoral journey, any questions that you guys have, I'll be happy to answer them. Drop those questions in the chat, and we'll keep chatting. I appreciate y'all. Later.